Black heritage, really powerful theme, really deserves a little bit of time. This series is intended to expound upon it, point out a few things, some things that might have been overlooked or misclassified or misrepresented, some things that could be put together and put into perspective. Some of the things that I touch on in this series can be put in this proper perspective just to help us see the big picture. And I'm going to do this series in a multi-part perspective. In part, I'm going to tell it in the form of a story. And another part is from research that I've actually done. And the final part is theory that I've compiled based on those things. But before we can get into that, I might need to clarify this. The title, Black Heritage. A whole bunch of research going on. It's a whole bunch of talk, a whole bunch of back and forth about who we are, where we're from, what we call ourselves, and that's okay. But I chose this title because a lot of back and forth about are we African, are we American, are we Native American, when the fact of the matter is we are indigenous to somewhere, and all the evidence points to America versus anywhere else. The proof has been under our nose the whole time. And so we don't have to get tied down by the details and the labels and everything else. So we can keep it simple. Indian mean indigenous. So we can call ourselves West Indian because we indigenous to the Americas, or we could call ourselves Americans. It is my opinion that we are the Israelites, children of the Most High. And the Most High said, you cannot quantify me, nor can you quantify his seed. So we need to be careful of any of these labels, meaning you cannot categorize and label us. You cannot calculate and put us in categories. So we got to be careful of any of these labels altogether. Why Black heritage versus Israelite heritage, which it could be that's politically correct, or West Indian heritage, also politically correct, or just American Indian. All of these terms would be politically correct, but now we couldn't call it Native American heritage because that would be politically incorrect. Native means something different than you might think it means. Native is like native is when a person or peoples immigrated from one place to another, and then the offspring thereby become native. They are not indigenous. So let's say, for example, somebody moved from New York to California, and they say they telling people, new people that they meet, my kids are native to California, but I'm from back, home in New York. So that's what native means. So like when a refugee come here from another country or something like that, start up a family, no matter how many generations, they can never be indigenous. They can only be native to this land. So we are the indigenous ones to this land, which means we cannot be native. We've been here since Noah got off the boat. So, and so why do I title this Black Heritage? I remember back in the 90s, it was in junior high school, they came to us with the whole African American or black issue. Do you guys want to be, would you rather be called African American or would you rather be called black? I remember they brought this to my class full of young adults. I remember they came to us as young adults and asked us which would we rather be called, African American or black. From chess checkers club, speech and debate team, student council, bright kid. When they asked us that at 14 years old, my answer was, if you gonna be white, I'll be black. At 14 years old, my answer was, if you gonna be white, I'll be black. I already understood what game we was playing, which is why I chose this as the opening slide to illustrate the game that we're playing. And even right now to this day, they don't put European American or Asian American on no application. They put white or Caucasian. So we don't got to be stuck on what does black mean or what does it mean to be black, because what does white mean? What does it mean to be white? Because I looked these words up myself and I didn't see any advantage to being white over being black. Because even in a game of chess, white move first, I still don't see no advantage in that. It's all in how you play the game. So black meaning the opposite of white, and heritage meaning our legacy, our history, our lineage, what we believe in, what we live for, and ultimately what we die for. Our kingdom is our heritage, and it is something worth fighting for. It is what these people tried to steal from us. And it's also the source of our wealth. So it's time we realize what's going on around us and recognize who we really are. With all that being said and done, finally, let's just get right into it. I want to start out by shedding some light on our ancestors. They got us all the way here to today. Without them, there will be no us. That goes without saying. So we definitely need to shed some light on that situation. I'm assuming you already know the origins of people, our people, black people. If you don't already know, it's a lot of good people doing good work in that field. You can check back a few of my other videos, and I'll be doing more in the future on this subject. And I'm not trying to tell anybody who they are or where they from. I started doing my genealogy in the 90s before it was popular. So I know who I am. I know where I'm from. And I know who my ancestors are. The American Indians that they talking about, and the self same Hebrew Israelites talked about in the Bible. Now, I'm not saying any of this to throw shade on anybody for any reason. I love all people. But I am trying to shine some light on Black heritage itself, to point out a few things that I think we should be proud of as a people. Now, when speaking about the American Indians, one might pull up a picture similar to this. Native Americans, we already discussed the topic of being native and what that means. And again, not throwing shade on anybody for any reason. But in this discussion, we're talking about indigenous Americans who probably look more like this. And we got many examples of this, many books, literatures, pictures. I got these images from Kudimo Ahau. Hope I'm saying that right. This brother does a lot of good work in bringing this to the forefront. Brother, you deserve an award. Now, maybe these people call themselves Indian, maybe not. But one thing I do know for sure is that I got people in my family right now today that look just like this man right here. This man, I could pull pictures right out of a photo album, look just like this dude. Or what about this one? These two pictures could be the same person, if you ask me. See, that's part of our heritage. We have the ability to be timeless in appearance, wisdom, knowledge. So that's something to be proud of. But either way, these are some of the things that was passed down to us by our ancestors. We say black don't crack, but then they say the Native American could live to be 100, 120 years on a regular basis, and hunt and fight until his last day, just like everybody else. It's awfully suspicious, especially when there are written records stating that our ancestors still lived to be 200-300 years old when the invaders first got here. And then they say, the noble Indian was so in touch with nature, he could talk to his ancestors who had passed on to the spirit world. Well, we see black folks doing that right now today, but that's our heritage. And then they turn it around and try to make it seem like it's something wrong with us. And they be saying stuff like, the noble Indian knew how to live off the land. Say, he hunted the buffalo and would use every part of the animal. The great buffalo fed the nation. Then they try to make it out to be some type of joke because they say the black folks know how to use everything on the pig from the rooter to the tutor. Now, the buffalo itself deserves a whole little segment of its own. I think it in itself is proof of a lot of things. They say the buffalo was hunted to extinction, or they say it was a staple part of the Native American diet. And because of that, the invaders hunted the buffalo to extinction. They say the Indian and the buffalo was as one, especially when discussing something like the Buffalo Soldiers. I think there's many truths which can be extrapolated from these stories, but you got to put in the right numbers. I'm not even going to do no side by side comparison right here. But if I put a black man next to this buffalo, and then I'm going to let you use your imagination. Does this buffalo look more like a red skinned Native American Indian, or you think this buffalo would resemble more of a black skinned American Indian? That's our heritage. It was passed down to us from generation to generation. You'll have to check back to the footnotes for more of my personal opinion on that. So, but anyway, it became easy for me to see that when they were reporting on the noble Indian, they were actually talking about black people. From the greatest story ever told to all the cities of gold, from Golden Child all the way down to the gold teeth, can be attributed to the indigenous peoples of the Americas. One can get the right answers once you input the correct numbers into the calculator. The gold teeth is a good example to show you what I'm talking about. You could do this experiment yourself. Take a general consensus of how many people in the world have gold teeth of their geographical location and their ethnic background. This is what I came up with. It's mostly black people that sport the gold teeth, mostly from America and mostly down south, with some on the East Coast and some in the Southwest on out to California. Did we come to about the same answer on that? Okay, so do you think it's because those people are so oppressed, as soon as they get some money, they run out and get gold put in their mouth? Or because they ain't never had anything, so that's the only thing they could do to make themselves feel better? Or do you think it's all a coincidence and none of it means anything anyway? That's because you're putting in the wrong numbers thinking you coming up with the right answer. No, these people was influenced by someone or something that they seen or knew, and that's what made them want to emulate that. It's black people's heritage. It was passed down generation to generation. No other argument stands up to the scrutiny.